Hello, everybody. My name is Glenn. I will be the host of today's episode of Eerie Encounters, the podcast. Today, we'll be taking a look at some true paranormal and ghost stories from good old Reddit. So, buckle in, sit tight, get ready for a ride. These are real accounts shared by people online. Not written for an audience, just written because something happened and they needed to tell someone. So, let's get it started. This happened when I was about 16. I woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't move. I'd had sleep paralysis before, so I wasn't too scared at first, but then I felt the bed dip near my feet, like someone had just sat down. I couldn't turn my head, but I could see the outline of something at the end of the bed. It wasn't clear, just darker than everything else. Then it started moving up the bed slowly, like it was crawling towards me. When it got to my legs, I felt pressure, like hands pressing down. I tried to scream, but I couldn't. Eventually, I snapped out of it and slept. I looked around, but nothing was there. I told my mom the next day, and she said she used to have the same thing happen to her in that exact same room. So, sleep paralysis explains the body, but it doesn't explain the inheritance. Same room, same age, same presence. Something is off, and sometimes some things don't just visit, they wait, they stay. Alright, on to the next one. We had just set up a baby monitor for a newborn. One night, I woke up and heard something talking through. At first, I thought it was interference, like, picking up another frequency, a radio, walkie-talkie. But then I heard a voice clearly say, "Hello?" It sounded like a man. I woke my husband up, and we both listened. It happened again, like someone trying to get our attention. We ran into the baby's room, but there was no one there. Doors locked. Window closed. We unplugged the monitor and switched it to a different one the next day. This never happened again. People will tell you sometimes these monitors get cross signals. That sometimes you hear strangers, but strangers don't really know when to say hello, and especially not at 2 a.m. in the morning. It was almost like they're already inside. Alright, on to the next. My mom told me this happened when I was in high school. She heard the front door open and close and assumed I had gotten home from school. She said she saw me walk past her room out of the corner of her eye. A minute later, she called out to me, but I didn't answer, so she checked my room, but I wasn't there. Fast forward 20 minutes later, then when I actually came home. She asked if I had come home earlier and left, but I hadn't. I had just gotten off the bus. But still, she insists she saw me, or something that looked like me, walk through the house. Sometimes memory fills in gaps. That's what we tell ourselves. But when something sounds like you and moves like you and knows where your room was that really a coincidence? When I was a kid, maybe 8 or 9, I used to see someone standing in the hallway outside of my room at night. At first, I thought it was my dad. It was about the right height, but it was just a tall shape. And it never moved. It would just stand there, partially visible through my screen door. I remember one night I called out, "Dad?" But it didn't respond. didn't even shift. That's when I realized something was wrong. After that, I started closing my door every night. Sometimes I'd wake up, but it would be open again. Just slightly. Just enough so I could see the hallway, and just enough so I could see that it would be there. I told my parents, but they thought I was just having nightmares. So eventually I stopped telling them. The worst night was when I woke up and it wasn't in the hallway anymore. It was inside my room, by the corner near my dresser. Same shape, no face, just darker than everything else. I remember pulling the blanket over my head and staying like that until morning. Eventually, as I got older, it stopped happening. Or maybe I just stopped seeing it. Or worse, maybe I just stopped looking. Years later, I was talking to my older sister about weird stuff from when we were kids, and she said, "Do you remember the guy in the hallway?" I looked at her, and I knew. I had never told her about it. I know it didn't follow you, it didn't need to. It was already there, waiting in a place where the children are the only ones looking. I grew up in a rural area surrounded by woods. Our house was kind of isolated near neighbors, maybe half a mile away. When I was around 14, I started hearing my mom call my name from the outside. It would sound exactly like her. "Hey, can you come here for a second?" The first time it happened, I went outside and asked what she needed. She looked at me confused. She said she hadn't called me. I brushed it off, thought maybe I misheard something. But it kept happening. And always from the woods. Always her voice. One night, I heard it again. Louder this time. "Hey, come here." It sounded impatient. I was about to go outside, but my mom stopped me. She said, "I didn't call you." And she looked genuinely scared. After that, she told me something I didn't know. She said when she was younger, living in this exact same house, she used to hear her mom's voice calling her from the woods. And her mom told her the same thing. Don't answer it. Don't follow it. We started ignoring it completely. It still happened for a while, then one day it just stopped. But every now and then when I visit home, I still feel like if I listened closely enough, I'd be able to hear it again. I know there's a pattern to stories like these. They don't rush, they don't chase, they wait, they repeat until either you stop noticing or you believe it's no longer there. If you've heard something call your name and no one was there, maybe you don't have to explain it. You don't have to answer it. My dog used to follow me everywhere. But for some reason, he refused to go upstairs in our house. He'd stop at the bottom of the stairs, alone. Sometimes he'd just stare sometimes he'd growl. One night, I was upstairs alone and I heard footsteps in the hallway. I had assumed it was my parents, but when I checked, no one was there. I went downstairs, and my dog was sitting at the bottom of the stairs, just staring up again. I checked the house. No one else was home. We ended up moving a year later, and it definitely didn't act like that in the new house. We moved into the house when I was about 10. It had a finished basement, but no one really used it. It always felt colder than the rest of the house. At first, nothing happened, but after a few months, I started hearing things when I went downstairs. Mostly just sounds like something shifting or light tapping. Then one day, I heard my name. It was quiet but clear. I thought it was my mom calling me, so I went back upstairs, but she said she hadn't said anything. After that, it kept happening. Always when I was alone in the basement. It didn't sound like my mom every time. Sometimes it sounded wrong, like someone trying to say my name, but not getting it quite right. I stopped going down there unless someone else was home. One night, I had to grab something from the basement while everyone was asleep. As I reached the bottom of the stairs, I heard my name again. This time, he was right behind me. On the stairs, a few steps back. I ran, I bolted. I didn't look back. I never went down there alone again. When I was younger, I shared a room with my brother. One night I woke up and saw him sitting on his bed, just staring at the wall. I asked him what he was doing, but he never answered. I figured he was either sleepwalking or something like that, and went back to sleep. The next morning I mentioned it to him, and he said he hadn't been in the room all night. He fell asleep on the couch downstairs. I didn't believe him until my parents confirmed it. I know what I saw. And it looked exactly like him. I lived alone in a small apartment. Nothing unusual at first, but sometimes, late at night, things felt off. The layout would seem slightly different. Doors I thought were closed would be open. The hallways looked longer than it should have been. One night I got up to get water in the kitchen, felt further away than usual. Not by a lot, just enough steps to notice. I brushed it off as being tired, but it started happening more often. The worst time was when I walked into the bathroom and the mirror wasn't where it should be. It was on the wrong wall. I stood there for a long time, then turned off the light and went back to bed. In the morning, everything was normal again. Sleep paralysis my whole life, so I'm used to it. But there's one thing that makes this different. It's always the same figure. It doesn't change, it doesn't move much, but it sits at the edge of the bed. Every time, I can't see details, just a shape, but I know it's looking at me. It happened in different houses, different states. Same thing, same position. same feeling. It was watching me. A few friends and I were staying at a cabin late at night. We were all in the living room where we heard footsteps again. Slow, heavy. We all heard it at the same time. We checked the entire place, but no one was there except us. But when we came back downstairs, we heard it walking again. This time, right above us. Alrighty, everyone. That will be all for the first episode of Eerie Encounters, the podcast. Thanks for spending, God, how many minutes has it been? The 16 or so minutes with me. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. Feel free to subscribe. We'll try to get more of these done. You know, right now, the group, we live a couple hours apart, but they'll be coming down here into the Bay Area pretty soon, and then we'll be able to film more stuff. But in the meantime, we'll be uploading these as well as some more footage from our times at Pollock Pines. So we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, goes.